Some people are distancing themselves from certain groups. They are moving away from old relationships. They are ending up without romantic relationships. This is what was mentioned to me. And they asked us to talk more about this subject, that people who embark on the path of awakening, of consciousness, of spiritual awakening, often distance themselves from many people. And this is really something very common. This is something that in fact happens to a large part of the people who embark on this path. However, as you distance yourself from some groups of people, you also get closer to other groups of people. Therefore, it is necessary for us to discuss in more detail and provide some information. If you are feeling a bit lost, distant from other people, let's talk more so you will understand and know how this can improve if you are in a somewhat unpleasant situation, whether you are a man or a woman. It works for both of you. So let's go. What happens when you start studying information, start studying knowledge about the awakening of consciousness, the awakening to who you truly are? When you were in a circle of friends, they talked about certain topics. However, as you were receiving new information, your interests started changing. You realized that some conversations really are very shallow. They are conversations that would not provide you growth in practically any day area. Not in your area of self-discovery, knowing yourself, in the area of financial growth or intellectual growth. Growth in any area that is beneficial for you and the people you love. So you would arrive in that group of people and the topics were the same. Maybe that famous chat about Big Brother, about the soap opera, about the latest gossip. And you really got tired of it. And when you get tired of it, you really distance yourself from that group of people. This is normal and very common. However, some awakened individuals are becoming lost at a certain point because the awakened are separated. So many people are feeling very lonely because they can no longer talk with old friends, with old acquaintances, with family members. They are isolated. This is very normal on the path of awakening because some people even mention, right? The path of spiritual enlightenment is a solitary path, but it should not be one of constant isolation. Look very carefully at this detail here because people sometimes get confused. I think like this, I'm on the path of awakening, so I really need to be on my solitary path. So I have to be alone, even better. If I go to the mountains and stay there in Tibet, meditating, distancing myself from everyone and escaping to the mountains, to nature and away from humanity, taking care of my personal life, my own life, and forgetting the rest of the world. That's not quite how the story goes. You don't need to, and in fact, you shouldn't run away from the world. It's that story of being in the world, but not of the world. It is necessary for you to participate in the world by doing something, resolving the situations around you. If you have people around you, like family members who have some disagreements with you, it is necessary for you to first harmonize with these situations. There is no point in running away, because if you try to run away from some situations, later on, this same situation will catch up with you with different characteristics. External, but the foundation of the situation will be the same. The same problem ahead for you to solve. Now, there is a very important issue. The people who are awakening are still quite, how do you say, in distant points. Some are already connecting. Because the more these subjects are shared, are distributed to other people, the more awakened people, the more people on this path. Spiritual, on the path of love, consciousness, and service to others. The more people receive this information, the more people you will have to connect with new people. Because it is not through the path of self-exclusion that you will succeed. It's different. You really need to connect with other people. Because remember that one of the fundamental rules for you, climb the ladder of raising consciousness, is to love your neighbor. And you love your neighbor with practical actions. It's not simply with imagination, with thought, with vibrations towards other people. Of course, this is important. It is also fundamental. But it is also necessary to have that good old hands-on approach. So it is necessary for you to do something for other people. And as this information is distributed in greater numbers, in greater quantities, and this information reaches a mass of humanity, you will have more people to connect with. Think about it. So that little group was there talking about Big Brother. You distanced yourself. But now there's a new group that talks about other topics, about growth, love, harmony, about preserving nature, and so on. You now have topics about financial growth. You want to progress. You want to improve your business by doing good for others. So you are on this path. When people start receiving, you will now find groups that are at this level of consciousness. Because remember that all people are in a specific state of consciousness. And in these states of consciousness, there are certain characteristics that define each state of consciousness that the person is in. I will mention here for you to remember if you are not familiar yet. The first is that of species, preservation, food. So, a group of people in humanity are at the most basic level, trying to survive. So they are at the level of food. Then comes the people on the second step, which are the people who are still stuck on the emotional issue, or relationships. They haven't managed to resolve this. They have depression, anxiety because of relationships, and emotional neediness. That will not be satisfied. In the other, this emotional neediness is a distancing from themselves, but they seek it in the other. So they haven't resolved the issue of the second step. They need to resolve this. There is a group of people who are at this level. They are those people usually who they gather, for example, at country music shows of sofrencia. So people go there, as they say, to suffer. So they want to suffer because of a relationship. So that group, that egregore, concentrates there to experience this type of living. Okay? Next, you have the group that is in power. The people who are seeking large amounts of wealth, material, multimillionaires, more than 100 million, surpassing 100 million by $100 million, for example, and still want more and more and more, seeking possession, power, and dominance over others. And also the political groups that seek exclusively power to dominate, to have power over others. I'm not talking about the politician who is there to serve, as there are exceptions in the world. But I'm talking about the majority who are there really simply for their own interests, to have power over the masses, power over people, to have the power to decide over people's lives. There is also this group of people who are in power. The multimillionaires, above 100 million, for example, approximately, or those who don't have it yet but are seeking it. You can, if you are not, for example, in power, be on the second step. Today, suffering because of some relationship, you can jump into this sector right now. You simply focus on it, desire, power, desire, a lot of money, many possessions, much control. Then you will focus on that. When you focus on that, you will start to notice situations around you related to this point in life. And if you continue in this direction, you will grow in this direction, doing what needs to be done with action. Then comes the self-knowledge group. These are people who are arriving now. In this information, they are arriving on the path of awakening, of consciousness. They discovered the book, The Self-Aware Universe, by Dr. Amit Goswami, the book on quantum physics. They found videos by Professor Helio Couto, found videos about spirituality, awakening of consciousness, and are beginning to tread this path. Some have been on this journey for a while, practicing meditation, going to places, going to groups, for example, that conduct self-knowledge practices. So there is a group that is on this step of self-knowledge. Right after, there is the group of spirituality, but it's not a group that goes to church, attends church once a week, on Sundays, stays there for an hour. It's not that group, because there are many people in that group, and the majority who go once a week to church are usually on the second step. They are still dealing with the issue of emotional neediness. They are seeking to have some possessions, simply to have a house, a car, take care of the family, because they are still dealing with this part of the second step. I'm talking about those people who truly dedicate themselves to spirituality, people who work with it, people who frequently dedicate themselves to helping others, are focused all the time on helping people, whether in a church, but truly helping, not a corrupt pastor, a deceitful pastor. It's not those who are, some of them are on the third step. Others are still on the second. I speak of those who are truly dedicated to serving God. It doesn't matter what their religion is, it doesn't matter which master they follow, whether it's Jesus Christ, Buddha, Krishna, or Lao Tse. It doesn't matter which master they follow. What matters is that they are following the commandment of Jesus Christ, which is to love thy neighbor acting in a spiritual cause, acting with great dedication. So there is this group that is in spirituality, and there is the group of the sixth level, which is a minority, those who have already become enlightened and unified with God. They serve 24 hours a day. The Almighty God, this is a very small group of people, but knows that the group of people in self-knowledge and spirituality is growing every day. For you to follow the path of spirituality, which is a path that already solves all the problems in your life, if you walk the path of spirituality, you solve all the problems in your life. It's that one. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be given to you as well. This is the path where everything in your life will be resolved. And to do this, do you have to found a church? Do you have to make YouTube videos about spirituality? Create a website about it, a blog, a page on Instagram, on Facebook? No, not necessarily. If you have a business, pay close attention. If you have a business, with this philosophy, with this paradigm of what we are teaching here, and there are several other people teaching this on the internet, if you apply this philosophy, these practices of loving your neighbor, of growth, of working, of studying, of helping, if you apply these concepts in your business, you're already on the fifth step. You are already on the path of spirituality. To be on the path of spirituality, on the path of the new paradigm, on the path of doing God's will, on the path of seeking the kingdom, first of all, you just need to do God's will, which is always to do good to others. If you have this philosophy in your company, you are already on the path of spirituality. And the more people know about this, receive this, see, companies will be places where the awakened will reconnect. Sometimes you have drifted apart from someone here who was your friend, your buddy in the past. It's been 5 years. But that doesn't prevent her from suddenly, during this journey, starting to follow this path. And suddenly now in 2025, or any year, you meet again in a group of the awakened. Therefore, it must be quite clear that this path is not one you need to walk alone. It is a solitary path because your connection is inward. It's you with God, you with the kingdom of heaven within you. It's inward. Now, in our world of living, experience is not a solitary path, nor should it be. If humanity is going through this, the awakened are going through this moment. It's because it's a moment of transition. It is not a definitive moment, nor how it should be. It is the path of an awakened one, but it is the path of those who are awakening, many people awakening. And suddenly these people can meet in places that will increasingly reduce this issue of isolation for those who are awakened, including men and women who are not in relationships, who separated because the boyfriend, the wife, the husband was left behind because she started to study spirituality, awakening of consciousness, co-creation, love for others. She began to grow and the other person was left behind. And indeed, when this happens, there is disharmony. So know that it is not meant to be a definition of isolation, but just a moment of transition that might be happening to you as it is happening to many people. But knowing this, people knowing this, it's time for people to start reconnecting again. Have you seen how it happens in evangelical churches? In the Catholic Church, people do not meet. Why does an awakened person who says they now understand consciousness, that they now understand, or is she really a child of God who will love her neighbor and so on, and can't relate to other people? So, it is very important to pay attention to this detail, because there are people who share on the internet, right? The path of awakening is truly a solitary path and should remain so. Why is that? Why this? Wait a minute. What do you mean by remain? The moment of awakening is solitary because you start to look inward and see that the outside world, this world in fact, is also inside, but the external world, external that we experience outside, is a matrix, and there is an entire society built on an illusion, on a lie. And at a certain moment, you wake up, you say, hey, I understand this thing here, the real world is not this, the real world is here, I got it. So, now you start to participate more joyfully, more abundantly in the world of an awakened one. But this connection with other people is also important. Therefore, remember this very well. The beginning of awakening is solitary. The journey of an awakened one is in connection with others because it is necessary to pass the information forward. If you want to know a very powerful tool for mental reprogramming, I developed a tool called Mental Resonance. You will resonate with your goals. If you want to know about it, I have a link in the description of this video. Thank you for your presence and see you in the next video.